Here are the top stories for today, December 16th, 2021. Typhoon Odette barrels into the southern portion of the country, dumping heavy rains and blowing fierce winds over many areas in the Visayas and Mindanao. The Christmas season just got merrier as Catholics troop to churches for the Simbang Gabi, or pre-dawn masses for 9 days leading to Christmas. The palace calls on unvaccinated persons to attend the masses virtually. No hitting of the brakes and beefing up COVID response. The Philippines gets over 10 million doses of COVID-19 jabs, the highest single-day delivery in the country in time for the second wave of the Bayanihan Bakunahan Drive. And the United States is not taking lightly what it described as China's expansive claims in the South China Sea, saying it is determined to uphold freedom of navigation in these waters. Good day, I'm Bench Bondok. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. We begin tonight with updates on the onslaught of Typhoon Odette. More residents in areas under the track of Odette are evacuated as part of the preparations of their respective local government units. Measures are also in place to mitigate the effect of the typhoon. In Davao City, face-to-face classes in all public and private schools as well as work in government offices are suspended starting today until tomorrow. The city government also suspends the operation of all vaccination sites and mobile vaccination activities. In Davao de Oro, around 88 families or 477 individuals have been evacuated this morning in Barangay Andap, New Bataan due to moderate to heavy rains. In Surigao del Norte, strong waves are seen pummeling the coastline in the city as Odette approaches. Meanwhile, police personnel in Dapa, Siargao Island make rounds and enforce preemptive evacuations in identified high-risk areas. In Iloilo City, classes have been suspended ahead of the landfall of Odette. The city government also prepared relief goods for affected families. And in San Jose, Dinagat Islands, residents were evacuated this morning ahead of the landfall of Typhoon Odette. Dinagat Island is identified as a high-risk area. Preparations are already in place to mitigate the effect of Typhoon Odette in the country, particularly in the Visayas area. The details from William Theo.
More than 930 million pesos is allotted for those who will be affected by Typhoon Odette. The Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, says 83 million of the said fund will be allotted for the purchase of additional supplies for disaster operations. The DSWD also prepared more than 350,000 family food packs. The department also activates its communication lines with local government units, which are the first responders during natural and man-made calamities. Meanwhile, the National Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council, or NDRRMC, says a total of 12,237 families in regions in the path of the Typhoon Odette have so far been preemptively evacuated. Moreover, around 36 ports were earlier reported non-operational or have suspended trips due to the weather disturbance. And in eastern Visayas, several local government units have suspended classes and work in government offices ahead of Typhoon Odette's landfall. A preemptive evacuation was also enforced by several local governments in the region since yesterday. For the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo.
An update on the Omicron variant in the country. The Department of Health says the result of COVID-19 tests among the 7 close contacts of the 2 cases has been out, and thankfully, they are negative for the disease. There are actually 8 close contacts being considered, but only 7 results are in. The other one is still being verified at the moment. Of the 7 individuals, 1 is a close contact of the returning overseas Filipino, while 6 are close contacts of the Nigerian national. Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere says the government is on top of the situation and is doing everything to prevent local transmission.
We do not need to panic, we do not need to fear, because lahat po ng dumadating na atin pong mga kababayan, lahat po ng dumating kasama sa eroplano nitong pong galing sa Japan at galing sa ito pong foreign national, nakapag-quarantine po sila lahat ng 5 araw, tinest po sila bago sila umuwi. Meaning the chances na meron po pa silang sakit at umuwi sa community ay napakaliit na po dahil nagawa po natin yung mga guidelines na dapat po nating sundin. Kahit ano pa hong variant ang pumasok sa ating bansa, as long as we comply with the safety protocols, yung minimum public health standards po natin na pagmamask, pag-iwas po sa matataong lugar, magkaroon ng adequate ventilation sa mga lugar, yun pong laging pag-uugas ng kamay, kapag po yan ay lagi nating sinusunod, yung chance po na maproteksyonan tayo sa kahit na anong variant ay naandyan. Nadagdagan pa yan dahil meron na tayo mga bakuna ngayon. So kung kayo po ay eligible na, magpabakuna na tayo.
At least 400,000 more Pangasinenses have been vaccinated against COVID-19. This as the provincial government ramps up its vaccination drive during the second day of the Bayanihan Bakunahan program. Provincial Health Office Chief Dr. Ana Maria Teresa de Guzman said they are positive to attain herd immunity or population protection soon. She also reports that 28 out of the 47 local government units in the province have zero COVID-19 cases. Meanwhile, it's all systems go in Wagyu City in connection with the second leg of the Bayanihan Bakunahan Days. The city government targets to vaccinate at least 14,229 residents at the 3 mega and district vaccination sites. More COVID-19 vaccines arrived in the country in time for the second run of the Bayanihan Bakunahan program. The details from Marita Muahe.
The country recorded its largest number of COVID-19 vaccine arrival in a single day with a total of 10,403,550 doses of the life-saving jobs yesterday. The National Task Force Against COVID-19 said that of the total number, 214,500 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine are donated by the British government. 856,800 doses of Moderna jobs are from the German government. 3,055,200 doses of the Janssen vaccine are from the Dutch government. Meanwhile, 2,840,100 doses of Moderna vaccine donated by the German government are also expected to arrive. Meanwhile, more procured vaccines also arrived last night. These are the 1,187,550 doses of Pfizer vaccine procured by the national government. 2,249,900 doses of AstraZeneca vaccine procured by the private sector. National Task Force Assistant Secretary Wilben Mayor said these vaccines are crucial as there are already confirmed cases of the Omicron variant in the country. Mayor urged all Filipinos to get protected against the new variant of coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19 by getting their primary shots and boosters. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Marita Muahe.
Various sectors in Bacolod City were lauded for the further downgrade of the city to Alert Level 1. These include the health frontliners and volunteers, as well as those in the barangays led by the village officials, barangay health workers, and nutrition scholars, and even the barangay tanods. Mayor Evelio Leonardo said the recent development is a testimony to the city's effective management of the pandemic, as the city is now classified as a minimal risk area. Dr. Bea Camille Natalaray of the Department of Health said the city's attack rate has declined from 2.59% to 0.59% per 100,000 population. The healthcare system utilization of Bacolod also decreased to only 12.46%. Leonardia also cited the contribution of the business community, the public and private schools, and the management of various shopping malls and food chains that opened their facilities to serve as vaccination centers. Malacanang thanked Congress for the expeditious ratification of the proposed 5.024 trillion peso national budget for 2022. This after the House of Representatives and the Senate separately ratified the Bicameral Conference Committee report on the 2022 General Appropriations Bill. Acting Presidential Spokesperson and Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles said the palace considers next year's budget a vital support to the country's COVID-19 resilience initiatives and recovery efforts. On the Senate's ratified report containing the reconciled version of the proposed 2022 national budget, 188.3 billion pesos will be allotted for the Department of Health, This includes the 22.99 billion pesos allotment for its Health Facilities Enhancement Program and 21 billion peso allotment to help hospitals across the country. Congress also allocated close to 3 billion pesos to fund the Doktor Para sa Bayan Act that would grant full medical scholarships in state universities and colleges to address the shortage of doctors in the country. President Rodrigo Duterte is expected to sign the measure before December 31 to ensure the government does not operate on a reenacted budget. Still to come, churches open their doors to the faithful as the Simbang Gabi officially starts. And the United States is not mincing words as it vows to push back against China's expansive claims in the South China Sea. Details ahead, keep it here on the PNA Newsroom.
Kung customer ka, pupuntahan mo ba yung mukhang safe naman o yung certified na safe? Ang safety seal ay patunay na certified safe ang iyong business dahil nasusunod ang minimum public health standards. Meron din itong QR code para mapadali ang contact tracing. Ito ay libre lang. Pero, kailangang i-renew every 6 months or every year kung nasa tourism sector ang iyong business. Kung meron ka ng mga documents na ito, pwede ka na mag-apply para sa Safety Seal Certification. May iba-ibang office para sa iba't ibang klase ng mga negosyo. Pag na-determine nyo na ang issuing authority, simple lang ang steps para makuha ang safety seal. Pumunta sa office ng issuing authority o sa kanilang website. Kumuha ng safety seal checklist at magsagawa ng self-assessment para sa iyong business. I-submit ang checklist at abangan ang inspection schedule. Pag na-approve ang application, bibigyan kayo ng safety seal sticker. Pag hindi naman na-approve, sasabihin kung anong health standard ang hindi nasunod at bibigyan kayo ng pagkakataong ayusin ito. Pag nakuha na ang safety seal, ipaskil ito sa may entrance para makita agad ng mga customer. Pwede nyo rin ipagmalaki na certified safe kayo sa inyong mga social media pages. Paalala lamang, ang isang safety seal ay para sa isang branch lang. Siguraduhin bawat branch mo ay certified safe. Siguraduhin din na nasusunod palagi ang minimum public health standards dahil baka mabawi ang iyong certification. Maaring mag-operate kahit na walang safety seal. Pero hindi ba mas mahalagang kampante ang mga customer sa loob ng iyong negosyo? Kaya kumuha na ng safety seal para ingat-angat tayong lahat.
Amid the spread of COVID-19 and the troubles plaguing the world, the Philippines begins in earnest the celebration of Christmas with the traditional Simbang Gabi or dawn masses. Our Chris Mundo has the report.
For the first time since the pandemic struck, Filipinos were able to freely visit churches to hear the traditional Simbang Gabi or dawn mass. Even with health protocols in place, thousands took the time and endured the cold to attend the first of 9 masses, highlighting the Filipino Christmas celebration. The National Shrine of Our Mother of Perpetual Help, or Redemptorist Church in Baclaran, welcomed devotees on the first day of Simbang Gabi on Thursday morning with a display of Christmas lights and decorative parol. Freshly cooked puto bongbong and bibingka also awaited churchgoers. Catholics also braved the morning cold at 4 a.m. and flocked the Immaculate Conception Parish in Dasmariñas City, Cavite on Thursday to celebrate the dawn mass. In Las Piñas, devotees came to the Las Piñas Church for the first day of Simbang Gabi while listening to the hymns played in the famous bamboo organ. In Manila, over 1,000 devotees heard the first dawn mass at the minor basilica of the Black Nazarene or Quiapo Church. Reverend Father Danichi Way, the parochial vicar, said the church has opened 50% of its seating capacity while implementing the usual health protocols. Meanwhile, Archbishop Jose Cardinal Advincula presided on the first day of the Simbang Gabi at the Minor Basilica of the Immaculate Conception or Manila Cathedral. This is also Advincula's first Simbang Gabi as Archbishop in Manila. And in Wagyu City, with health protocols observed and in place, the Wagyu Cathedral of Our Lady of Atonement welcomed hundreds of devotees inside and outside the church who came to attend the dawn mass. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Chris Crismundo.
The Simbang Gabi has started, but with COVID-19 still present, Malacanang urged those who are unvaccinated to reconsider physically attending the traditional dawn masses. Acting Presidential Spokesperson Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles said unvaccinated individuals may want to consider attending virtual Simbang Gabi instead to minimize the risk of catching COVID-19. Meanwhile, Nograles reminded vaccinated devotees to continue observing minimum public health standards while attending dawn masses. The whole country is currently under Alert Level 2 until December 31st. Churches are operating up to 50% capacity for fully vaccinated attendees, while 70% is allowed outside. The Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office has announced that there will be no lotto draws or games on Christmas and New Year's Day. The PCSO said the lotto draws for December 24th and 31st would be held earlier at 11:30 a.m. for the morning draw, followed by 2:30 p.m. and 4 p.m. for the afternoon draw. Selling is from 7 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. for lotto and digit games and 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. for Keno. This is to allow PCSO personnel and patrons to spend the holidays with their families. Meanwhile, the regular selling and draw will resume from December 26 to 30 and January 2, 2022 onwards. PCSO General Manager Royina Garma urged the public to patronize PCSO games to generate more funds to be used to assist Filipinos. Shifting gears now, the United States government vows to continue to push back on Beijing's expansive maritime claims in the South China Sea. U.S. State Secretary Antony Blinken reaffirmed the 2016 arbitral ruling that rejected China's 9-dash line in the region and joins other countries in acting against China's unlawful claims of expansion. He said Washington, D.C. is determined to ensure the freedom of navigation in the area where more than $3 million worth of goods pass through every year. Blinken also said the U.S. would forge stronger connections within and beyond the region and deepen its treaty alliances with Japan, South Korea, Australia, Thailand, including the Philippines. President Rodrigo Duterte on Wednesday formally received the credentials of 4 new ambassadors at Malacanang Palace as he wished for stronger relations with their respective countries. Duterte welcomed Ambassadors Folakimi Ibiduni Akinleye of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Borhan Udin of the People's Republic of Bangladesh, William John Carlos of Ireland, and Raduta Dana Matache of Romania. Akinleye pledged to work tirelessly as Nigeria and the Philippines engage in mutually beneficial cooperation in trade, medical exchange, information technology, maritime security, education, and tourism. Udin expressed Bangladesh's willingness to enhance further collaboration in garments and ceramics, pharmaceuticals, shipbuilding, glass fiber industries, agricultural products, and health. Carlos said Ireland aims to significantly develop trade and investment links, as well as people-to-people exchanges with Manila. Meanwhile, Matache emphasized the need to step up the political and diplomatic dialogue between Romania and the Philippines. More stories from the newsroom. Road to better services, the government hits its 50 million target on the number of registrants for the Philippine identification system. And a town in Ilocos Norte is in for a tasty and classy venture to rev up its local livestock industry. We're back after a quick break. Stay with the PNA Newsroom.
Ako po si Sergeant Munoz ng Philippine Air Force para sa kampanya na Disiplina Muna na pinangungunahan ng DILG. Proud po akong sabihin na bakunado na ako laban sa COVID-19. Kaya naman po panatag ang aking kalooban dahil alam ko na protektado ako at ang aking pamilya laban sa coronavirus. Bida ang may disiplina. Kaya naman magparehistro at magpabakuna na para sa ligtas na pamilya at ligtas na bayan.
Yorme Isko po, bakuna po ang ating kasangga sa patuloy na pandemya. Kaya upang maproteksyonan ang ating sarili at mga mahal sa buhay, huwag po nating palampasin ang pagkakataong magpabakuna sa lalong madaling panahon. Tandaan na sa patuloy na laban kontra COVID-19, ang disiplinadong Pilipino ay rehistrado para maging bakunado. Magparehistro, magpabakuna para sa ligtas na pamilya, ligtas na bayan. Manila, God first.
The Philippine Statistics Authority has achieved its target of 50 million registrations for the Philippine Identification System, or PhilSys. Aside from PhilSys registrations, the Land Bank of the Philippines, in partnership with the PSA, also processed 6.7 million bank account applications through a co-location strategy in PhilSys registration centers. This milestone will help promote financial inclusion, improve the targeting of beneficiaries, and accelerate the delivery of government social protection programs. Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Carl Kendrick Chua said the pandemic emphasized the urgency of providing every Filipino with a unique and digitalized ID. To reach more registrants, PhilSys registration sites will remain open in the remaining working days of the year. The PSA also enjoins the private sector to host mobile registrations in their respective workplaces and communities. The Office of the Presidential Advisor on the Peace Process, or OPAP, was conferred with the Silver Trailblazer Award during the Institute for Solidarity in Asia's Performance Governance System Public Revalida on Wednesday. The OPAP credited the influence of the Performance Governance System, or PGS, for the progress of its daily operations. In his speech, Deputy Peace Advisor Undersecretary Isidro Purisima said the PGS pathway made them realize the need to continuously evolve and adapt to change. The OPAP began its PGS journey in 2019 and is now in the compliance stage. Purisima said they are aiming to continue using the PGS, sustain the gains, and continue moving forward in the PGS pathway towards the proficiency stage. The OPAP is mandated to oversee, coordinate, and integrate the comprehensive peace process and pursue the administration's 6-point peace and development agenda within targeted conflict-affected areas. The Bacolod City Police arrested a woman selling shabu during a buy bus in Purok, Cagaykay, Barangay 2 on Wednesday. The suspect was identified as Ferlin Joy Mulate, a resident of Purok Zone 6 in Barangay Handumanan. She yielded 6 sachets and 1 not-tied sachet containing suspected shabu with an estimated street value of 340,000 pesos. Her live-in partner, Louis Sombilla, fled during the operation. Sombilla was a high-value individual previously detained for a drug-related case but was released in September 2019. Colonel Tomas Joseph Martir, acting City Police Director, commended the operating unit for its relentless efforts in the campaign against illegal drugs. 2 CPP-NPA terrorists were killed in an encounter with the Army's 94th Infantry Battalion in Barangay Buenavista, Himamaylan City, Negros Occidental on Tuesday. Brigadier General Inocencio Pasaporte, commander of the 303rd Infantry Brigade, said the encounter happened while the soldiers were conducting security operations. The troops engaged about 10 communist rebels in Sitio Belo at the foot of Mount Cancelmon. After the clash, the troops recovered 3 pistols with ammunition, 2 hand grenades, several mobile phones, subversive documents, and personal belongings. The remains of the fatalities have been brought to the city proper. And before we go, you no longer have to order from Japan or go to a fancy store or restaurant just to eat Wagyu beef. Farmers in Pedig, Ilocos Norte are upgrading their local cattle industry to produce a native version of this flavorful marbled meat. With the backing of the Department of Agriculture and the municipality of Pedig, several native cows in the town are engaged in an artificial insemination program to produce Wagyu cross calves. At least 58 native cows in Pedig have been artificially inseminated and are expected to give birth after 9 months. The cows' owners are assured of free insurance coverage, free artificial insemination service, vitamins and dewormers, among others. Farmers can also earn extra by growing corn silage or Napier grass, which aims to introduce outstanding genetics like Wagyu. Earlier, to boost food sufficiency and agribusiness in Pedig and the rest of Ilocos Norte, Agriculture Secretary William Dar announced his department is giving 56.4 million pesos in support for the local farmers. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. Typhoon Odette barrels into the southern portion of the country, dumping heavy rains and blowing fierce winds over many areas in the Visayas and Mindanao. The Christmas season just got merrier as Catholics troop to churches for the Simbang Gabi, or pre-dawn masses for 9 days leading to Christmas. The palace calls on unvaccinated persons to attend the masses virtually. No hitting of the brakes and beefing up COVID response, the Philippines gets over 10 million doses of COVID-19 jabs, the highest single-day delivery in the country in time for the second wave of the Bayanihan Bakunahan Drive. And the United States is not taking lightly what it described as China's expansive claims in the South China Sea, saying it is determined to uphold freedom of navigation in these waters. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear face masks and face shields, wash your hands often, practice safe physical distancing, go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And are those presents ready for the big day? It's 9 days before Christmas. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, we tell stories that inspire change. I'm Bench Bondok. Good day.